Some have been wondering if it might reveal the body of Alexander the Great or unleash a deadly curse.
Alexander the Great was one of the most iconic men who shaped the course of world history. However, despite his many exploits, his life was tragically cut short at an early age. But one thing that has puzzled experts, historians, archaeologists, treasure hunters, and history buffs for millennia about the great Alexander was the location of his burial, which has remained elusive. However, thanks to an amazing discovery, scientists have finally found the tomb of Alexander the Great. Where was this mighty war general buried, and why did it take so long to find it? Stay tuned. The name Alexander the Great resonates through the annals of history as a shining beacon of military genius and unparalleled conquest. His life was a relentless pursuit of glory, and his death was a testament to his undying spirit and indomitable will. Born in 356 BC in the ancient city of Pella, Alexander would go on to become one of the greatest military leaders the world has ever seen. From his early years to his legendary conquests, his story is one that continues to captivate and inspire. Alexander's upbringing was far from ordinary. He was the son of King Philip II of Macedon and Queen Olympias, and his education was overseen by the great philosopher Aristotle. Under Aristotle's guidance, Alexander developed a keen intellect, a thirst for knowledge, and a love for literature and philosophy that would shape his worldview and military strategy. In 336 BC, tragedy struck the royal family when King Philip II was assassinated. At 20 years old, Alexander ascended to the throne, inheriting a kingdom that was on the verge of becoming a major power in the ancient world. He swiftly quelled internal rebellions and consolidated his rule, demonstrating leadership qualities that belied his age. Alexander's insatiable appetite for conquest soon turned his gaze eastward towards the vast Persian Empire ruled by King Darius III. In 334 BC, he launched his first campaign into Asia Minor, marking the beginning of his legendary Persian campaigns. The Battle of Granicus River, where Alexander led from the front, set the tone for his military leadership. His army, vastly outnumbered, emerged victorious due to Alexander's brilliant tactics and unwavering courage. The battles that followed were nothing short of awe-inspiring. At Issus in 333 BC, Alexander defeated Darius III in a fierce battle that saw the Persian king flee the field, leaving behind his family and treasure. This victory solidified Alexander's reputation as an unstoppable force. However, it was the Battle of Gaugamela in 331 BC that would forever etch his name into the annals of history. Facing an enormous Persian army, Alexander deployed a masterful strategy that exploited the weaknesses in Darius's forces. With audacity and brilliance, he crushed the Persian forces and shattered Darius's empire. With Persia now under his control, Alexander's ambitions grew larger. He continued his march eastward, conquering territory after territory. His army, known as the Macedonian Phalanx, was a disciplined and highly effective fighting force. It was supplemented by elite cavalry units, including the famed companion cavalry led by his loyal general, Hephaestion. In 327 BC, Alexander ventured into India, encountering formidable resistance from King Porus. The Battle of the Hydaspes River was one of his most challenging battles. But once again, Alexander's strategic brilliance prevailed. He managed to secure victory but was deeply impressed by Porus's valor, and eventually made him an ally. By 324 BC, Alexander's empire stretched from Greece to Egypt and as far east as India. His conquests were unparalleled in history, and his ambitions seemed insatiable. However, his troops were weary, and his journey had taken a toll on their morale. Alexander's health began to deteriorate, but he remained undeterred in his quest for glory. In the spring of 323 BC, while in the palace of Nebuchadnezzar II in Babylon, Alexander fell seriously ill. His condition rapidly worsened, and it became evident that he was nearing the end of his extraordinary life. As news of his illness spread, his soldiers, who had followed him on countless campaigns, gathered anxiously outside the palace, praying for their leader's recovery. In the final moments of his life, Alexander is said to have summoned his generals and closest companions. With great effort, he whispered his final wishes, asking them to meet me in the afterlife as good and brave men. His generals wept, knowing that the world was about to lose a conqueror of unparalleled greatness. On June 10th or 11, 323 BC, at the age of just 32, Alexander the Great took his last breath. The world had lost a military genius, a visionary leader, and a hero of epic proportions. The news of his death sent shockwaves throughout his empire, and mourning spread from Greece to India. One thing, though, about Alexander the Great that remained shrouded in secrecy was his last resting place. Where is Alexander's tomb? Although many historical accounts attest to his burial in Alexandria, Egypt, the exact spot of his final resting place has eluded archaeologists for centuries. What are the clues and theories that support the idea that Alexander was buried in Alexandria, and why has his tomb remained hidden for so long? The first clue is Alexander's own wish to be buried in the temple of Zeus Ammon at Siwa Oasis, a sacred site in the Egyptian desert where he had been declared the son of Zeus by an oracle. According to Quintus Curtius Rufus and Justin, two ancient historians who wrote about Alexander's life, he asked shortly before his death to be interred in Siwa. However, his wish was not honored by his successors, who fought over his body and his empire. The second clue is the testimony of Ptolemy the Soter, one of Alexander's generals who became the ruler of Egypt after his death. Ptolemy hijacked Alexander's body on its way back to Macedonia and brought it to Egypt, where he initially buried it in Memphis, the ancient capital. Later, he transferred it to Alexandria, the city that Alexander had founded and named after himself. Ptolemy claimed that he did so with the approval of an oracle at a Serapeum, a temple dedicated to Serapis, a syncretic god that combined aspects of Greek and Egyptian deities. Ptolemy wanted to associate himself with Alexander and legitimize his rule over Egypt by keeping his body in his domain. The third clue is the evidence of several ancient visitors who claimed to have seen Alexander's tomb in Alexandria. Among them were Julius Caesar, who visited Alexandria in 48 BCE during his civil war with Pompey, Cleopatra, who ruled Egypt as a Ptolemaic queen and allied herself with Caesar and later Mark Antony, and Augustus, who defeated Antony and Cleopatra and became the first Roman emperor. All of them reportedly paid their respects to Alexander's tomb, and some even offered sacrifices or gifts. Other visitors included the geographer Strabo, who described the tomb as a large mausoleum with a golden sarcophagus, the biographer Plutarch, who mentioned that Augustus had accidentally broken off a piece of Alexander's nose when he kissed his mummy, and the historian Cassius Dio, who wrote that Septimius Severus, another Roman emperor, had sealed off the tomb to prevent further damage. The fourth clue is the disappearance of the tomb from historical records after the 4th century CE. The last known reference to the tomb is by Ammianus Marcellinus, a Roman soldier and historian, who wrote that Emperor Constantius II had visited the tomb in 361 CE. After that, there is no mention of the tomb by any other source. This suggests that the tomb was either destroyed or hidden by some natural or human cause. Some possible explanations are: the tomb was damaged by earthquakes, floods, fires, or wars that affected Alexandria over time. The city was prone to seismic activity and rising sea levels that submerged parts of its coastline. It also suffered from several invasions and conflicts, such as the Jewish Revolt in 115 CE, the Kitos War in 117 CE, the sack by Aurelian in 273 CE, the Palmyrene invasion in 270 CE, and the Arab conquest in 642 CE. The tomb was vandalized or looted by people who sought to steal its treasures or desecrate its memory. The tomb may have contained valuable items such as gold, jewels, weapons, or relics that attracted thieves or enemies. It may have also been a target of religious intolerance or political hostility by those who opposed Alexander's legacy or cult. The tomb was relocated or concealed by someone who wanted to protect it from harm or exploitation. The tomb may have been moved to another place in or outside Alexandria by a loyal follower or a secret society who revered Alexander as a hero or a god. It may have also been hidden under a layer of soil or rubble by a sympathetic ruler or a pious priest who wanted to preserve its sanctity or mystery. These clues and theories show that there is a strong possibility that Alexander was buried in Alexandria, but they also reveal the challenges and difficulties of finding his tomb. Despite numerous attempts and excavations by modern scholars and explorers, no conclusive evidence or trace of his tomb has been found yet. However, some recent discoveries have raised new hopes and questions about this historical mystery. One of them is the excavation of Calliope Limnaeos Papakosta, a Greek archaeologist who has been digging for more than 20 years in Shalalat Gardens, a public park in central Alexandria. She claims to have uncovered the foundations of the royal quarter of ancient Alexandria, where Alexander's tomb may have been located. She also found a marble statue of Alexander that dates back to the early Hellenistic period. Could this be a sign that she is close to finding the tomb? Another one is the discovery of a huge granite sarcophagus in a construction site in Sidi Gabr, a district in eastern Alexandria. The sarcophagus, which measures 9 feet long, 5 feet wide, and 6 feet tall, is the largest ever found in the city. It was buried 16 feet underground and sealed with a thick layer of mortar. It dates back to the Ptolemaic era, between the 4th and 1st centuries BCE. It also contains 3 skeletons and a reddish-brown liquid that sparked curiosity and speculation among the public. Could this be the sarcophagus of Alexander or one of his successors? But what if Alexander the Great was buried not in Alexandria, but in Venice, Italy? According to this theory, the mummified remains of the legendary conqueror are hidden beneath the altar of St. Mark's Basilica, one of the most famous and beautiful churches in the world. How did Alexander's body end up in Venice? The theory was proposed by Andrew Chugg, a British historian and author of several books on Alexander the Great. He based his theory on several clues and sources, such as 1. The similarity between the symbols of St. Mark and Alexander. Both are associated with a winged lion, which was a symbol of power and royalty in ancient times. The winged lion is also the emblem of Venice, and it appears on the facade and inside of St. Mark's Basilica. 2. The connection between Venice and Alexandria. Venice was a major trading partner of Alexandria and had a strong interest in preserving its cultural heritage. Venice also had a history of stealing relics from other places, such as the body of St. Mark himself, which was allegedly smuggled from Alexandria to Venice in 828 CE. 3. The evidence of ancient writers and travelers. Several ancient sources mention that Alexander's tomb was located in Alexandria and that it was visited by famous figures such as Julius Caesar, Cleopatra, Augustus, and others. However, after the 4th century CE, there is no more mention of the tomb by any source. This suggests that the tomb was either destroyed or moved by some unknown cause. Some medieval travelers, such as Marco Polo and John Mandeville, claim to have seen Alexander's tomb in Venice and describe it as a magnificent mausoleum with a golden sarcophagus. And 4. The discovery of a piece of masonry in St. Mark's Basilica. In 1811, during the Napoleonic occupation of Venice, a French engineer named Gaspard Fossati found a piece of masonry in the foundations of St. Mark's Basilica that matched the dimensions of a sarcophagus that belonged to Nectanebo II, the last native pharaoh of Egypt. Nectanebo II was also the father of Alexander's mother, Olympias, according to some legends 5. The sarcophagus of Nectanebo II is now in the British Museum, and it is possible that it was originally part of Alexander's tomb complex in Alexandria. These clues and sources seem to support the idea that Alexander's body was transferred from Alexandria to Venice at some point in history, perhaps by Venetian merchants or crusaders who wanted to protect it from destruction or desecration by Muslim invaders or Christian fanatics. However, this theory also faces many challenges and criticisms, such as the lack of conclusive archaeological evidence. No trace or proof of Alexander's body or tomb has been found in Venice or anywhere else. The piece of masonry found by Fossati could have been brought to Venice for other reasons, such as decoration or construction. A new discovery in Greece, however, threatens to change the narrative on Alexander's burial place. This is the Casta tomb in Amphipolis. This theory is based on the discovery and exploration of a massive ancient tumulus or burial mound that dates back to the late 4th century BCE. the time of Alexander's death. The Casta tomb is the largest ever found in Greece, and it contains many artistic and architectural features that suggest it was built for someone of great importance and prestige. The Casta tomb was first excavated in 2012 by a team of Greek archaeologists led by Katerina Peristeri. The tomb is enclosed by a circular wall that is 500 meters, 1,600 feet, in circumference, and it consists of 4 chambers that are accessed by a monumental entrance guarded by 2 sphinxes. Inside the tomb, the archaeologists found 2 magnificent caryatids, sculpted female figures that have one arm outstretched to ward off intruders. They also found a mosaic floor depicting the abduction of Persephone by Hades, the god of the underworld, and a marble door that leads to the innermost chamber. The tomb is decorated with various symbols and motifs that are associated with Alexander and his dynasty, such as rosettes, suns, stars, shields, and Macedonian crests. The most intriguing part of the tomb is the innermost chamber, where the archaeologists discovered the skeletal remains of 5 people, a woman aged older than 60, 2 men aged between 35 and 45, a newborn infant, and a 5th person whose bones were cremated. The archaeologists also found fragments of a wooden coffin, glass and gold ornaments, pottery vessels, coins, weapons, and armor. The identity of these people is still unknown, but some experts have proposed various hypotheses based on historical sources and archaeological evidence. There are experts that believe Alexander was interred in the royal tombs in Macedonia. Their theory is based on the discovery and identification of a cluster of tombs that date back to the late 4th century BCE, the time of Alexander's death. The tombs are located near the ancient city of Aigai, which was the original capital of Macedon and the burial place of Alexander's ancestors. The tombs contain many artifacts and inscriptions that indicate they were built for members of Alexander's family and dynasty. Could it be that Alexander himself was buried among them? The tombs were excavated in the late 1970s CE by a team of Greek archaeologists led by Manolis Andronikos. The most impressive and important tomb is labeled Tomb 2, which is a massive barrel-vaulted structure with a monumental entrance guarded by 2 sphinxes. Inside the tomb, there are 2 chambers, one containing a stone sarcophagus with a gold larynx or chest holding the cremated bones of a man, and another containing a gold larynx holding the cremated bones of a woman. The tomb is richly decorated with paintings, sculptures, and symbols that relate to Alexander and his achievements. For example, there is a painting of a lion hunt, which was a favorite sport of Alexander and his father, Philip II. There are rosettes, stars, and suns, which were emblems of royalty and divinity. There are shields and helmets, which were symbols of military prowess. And there are Macedonian crests, which were signs of dynastic identity. The man buried in Tomb 2 is widely believed to be Philip II, the father of Alexander and the king who unified Macedonia and prepared the way for Alexander's conquests. But if Tomb 2 belongs to Philip II and Cleopatra Eurydice, then where is Alexander? Some scholars have proposed that he is buried in Tomb Worst, which is a simpler cist grave that was looted in antiquity. However, this tomb has a stunning wall painting depicting the abduction of Persephone by Hades, which suggests that it was built for someone who was revered as a god or hero after death. Moreover, this tomb has traces of a shrine or altar nearby, which implies that it was a place of worship or pilgrimage. The evidence for this identification is based on several factors, such as 1. The location and orientation of tomb. Why match those described by ancient writers who visited Alexander's tomb in Alexandria? 2. The painting of Persephone relates to Alexander's descent into Egypt and his visit to Siwa Oasis, where he was declared the son of Zeus Ammon. 3. The painting also relates to Alexander's death and apotheosis or deification, as he was believed to have joined his father, Zeus, in Olympus after his demise. The shrine or altar could have been erected by Alexander's successors or admirers who wanted to honor him or seek his favor.